Hello and welcome to Reality TV News Update, where you'll find the most recent news, entertaining moments, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. With the upcoming release of Survivor 50 in the hands of the fans, Survivor is getting ready to enter its 50s. However, longtime viewers are urging the popular reality competition show to return to its roots by hosting themed seasons once more. The demand for additional seasons like All-Stars and Heroes vs. the Villains, Blood vs. Water, and Second Chance are the sequels to the show's ongoing criticism of New Era. The New Era, which consists of seasons 41 through 49, has a new cast, a shorter game, 26 days compared to the previous 39 days, and numerous twists and advantages. Despite their individual successes, the New Era seasons' similarities frequently make them difficult to distinguish from one another in retrospect. With the highly anticipated Season 50 premiere just weeks away, series alumni like Rob Cesternino are predicting that the show's next steps could have a major impact on its longevity moving forward. A return to form has been on the wish list of many fans and former players alike for many years. In a December 2025 TikTok video, Cesternino, who competed on Survivor the Amazon and Survivor All-Stars prior to being selected for Season 50, stated, "I really think Survivor 51 is the most important season in the history of the franchise. I think that Survivor has a lot to worry about, and it will set the tone. In order to keep the franchise fresh, interesting, and engaging as its 30th anniversary approaches, many fans believe that the solution is as simple as bringing back themed seasons with the help of the return of iconic former players." Read on for a deeper look at fan requests for themed seasons to return and former castaways who might one day return to compete on them. The show's Survivor Heroes vs. Villains 2 fan cast. Heroes vs. Villains fans have long demanded a second season. One of the most successful seasons of Survivor, Heroes vs. Villains, when the first season of Villains first aired in 2010, viewers witnessed an all-star cast of legendary villainous castaways, including Parvati Shallow, Boston Rob Mariano, and Sandra Diaz Twine, compete with some of the series' most heroic former players, including Stephanie LaGrassa, Siri Fields, and Rupert Boneham. Fans of Survivor on Reddit, TikTok, and YouTube have suggested that players like Abi Maria Gomez from Survivor Philippines and Survivor Cambodia, Cass McQuillan from Survivor Cagayan and Survivor Cambodia, Tony Vlachos from Survivor Cagayan and Survivor Winners at War, and Michaela Bradshaw from Survivor Millennials vs. Gen X, and Jay Starrett from Survivor Millennials vs. Gen X and Game Changers, Angelina Keeley from Survivor David vs. Gen X and Goliath from Survivor 50, Dominic Abbott from Survivor Ghost Island, Jesse Lopez from Survivor 43, Sean Smith from Survivor 41, and Ricard Foy from Survivor 41. Fans of the Heroes tribe want to see players like Marianne Oketch from Survivor 42, Joe Hunter from Survivor 48, Carolyn Weiger from Survivor 44, Caleb Gebrewald from Survivor 45, Michael Yerger from Survivor Ghost Island, and Christian Hubicki from Survivor David vs. Goliath, Survivor 50, Kelly Wentworth, Survivor San Juan del Sur, Survivor Cambodia, and Edge of Extinction, and Adam Klein, Survivor Millennials vs. Gen X, Survivor Winners at War, Genevieve Mushaluk from Survivor 47 to Survivor 50, and Emily Flippen from Survivor 45 to Survivor 50, all make a comeback. Of course, there is a lot of overlap between the fan cast and the current cast of Survivor 50, which indicates that viewers are excited to see certain players return for a second shot at the title of Sole Survivor. Similar to the first Heroes vs. Villains, former champions from both tribes return to defend their titles. Cast of Survivor Second Chance 2. When Survivor Cambodia and Survivor Second Chance premiered in 2015, it was the first time in the show's history that viewers could vote on which players would return for the All-Stars season. The players had to have only played one episode of Survivor to be eligible. Fortunately, many fans had high hopes that CBS would hold a similar vote for Survivor 50, making it easy to find fan casts for Second Chance 2 on sites like Instagram and Reddit. According to a cast list that was compiled by Survivor Fact Checker and posted on Instagram, fans were most interested in seeing former contestants like Carolyn Weiger, Genevieve Mushiluk, Angelina Keeley, Emily Flippen, Cy Hughley for Survivor 48, Sean Smith, Christian Hubicki, Rick Devens for Survivor Edge of Extinction, Survivor 50, Q Burdett for Survivor 46, Survivor 50, Jess X. Handiston from Survivor 41, Mike Turner from Survivor 42, Carson Garrett from Survivor 44, Kelly McQuarrie from Survivor 45, Eva Erickson from Survivor 48, Sophie Bellardi from Survivor 49, and Jake Latimer from Survivor 49 could be added to the cast of Second Chance 2. Blood vs. Water 3 in Water. The third and final iteration of Blood vs. Water, which has seen success in its original 2013 installment as well as its 2014 San Juan del Sur sequel, is more difficult than casting a Heroes vs. Villains or Second Chance season, because it requires returning players to have a family connection and be willing to forego food, comfort, and sanity in order to win the title of sole survivor. Having said that, a number of former players have already been advocating for this exact circumstance, including So Kim, Survivor Worlds Apart, who along with her twin sister Do Kim was close to being cast on San Juan del Sur. Devon Pinto, creator of Survivor Heroes vs. Hustlers, has also expressed an interest in competing on a forthcoming Blood vs. Water season. Former players like Ricard Foy, who wants to compete alongside his husband Andy Greer, Rizo Velovich, who wants to play with his girlfriend Elizabeth Dokai, and Sophie Bellardi, who would join the competition with her younger brother Louis, have made similar bids to compete on a third installment of the themed season. Potential pairings include Siri Fields and her son Jared, Terry Dietz and his son Danny, Colby Daldison and his brother Reed, and Jerry Manthe and her sister Jenny. One of the most popular reality competition shows on television has been Survivor for more than 2 decades. The show has always changed to keep up with changing audiences, evolving from its humble beginnings on a remote beach in Borneo to the sleek, strategy-heavy era that now dominates prime time. Yet, as Survivor moves deeper into its new era, an increasingly vocal portion of its fan base is asking for something familiar, the return of themed seasons and beloved former castaways. Longtime viewers have been expressing a growing sense of nostalgia for the times when seasons carried bold identities and returning players brought back history, rivalries, and emotional weight to the game across social media platforms, fan forums, and discussions following episodes. Even though the current format places an emphasis on faster gameplay, shorter seasons, and constant twists, many fans believe that something essential has been lost. The continuation of themed seasons. Thematic seasons defined the show for a significant portion of its run. Ideas like Heroes versus Blood versus the Villains, Brains versus Water, Strength versus Millennials versus Beauty, and not only did Gen X come up with catchy titles, but they also made alliances, changed strategy, and gave viewers an immediate emotional hook. These themes, according to fans, made each season feel unique. The differences between Survivor China and Survivor Tocantins and the electric feeling of Survivor Cagayan in comparison to its predecessors were immediately recalled by viewers. The audience was provided with a narrative framework by themes, making it simpler for them to invest in the cast and the stakes. However, in recent times, concepts rather than numbers have been used to identify seasons. Critics claim that this streamlined strategy has blurred the lines between seasons, despite the fact that it has simplified branding. In a post that was widely shared, one fan wrote, "They all kind of feel the same now. Different players, identical beaches, identical twists." Reminiscences of former players.
The call for former castaways to return is just as strong. The Survivor alumni roster is extensive and varied, ranging from iconic strategists to unforgettable underdogs. The excitement of watching legends clash during All-Star seasons when prior reputations influenced every move is fondly remembered by fans. Existing storylines are brought by returning players. New alliances emerge. Players are haunted by past betrayals. Additionally, the satisfaction of witnessing how familiar faces have developed or failed to develop since their initial appearances is reaped by viewers. Even though recent seasons have been full of talented and enthusiastic new players, many fans believe that returning contestants provide more emotional resonance. One devoted viewer acknowledged, "I like the new casts, but I don't feel the same connection. It actually hurts when someone I've watched before is elected." The new era gap. Survivor has leaned heavily on advantages, twists, and unpredictable mechanics ever since the show's structural overhaul, which is frequently referred to as the new era. The gameplay now centers on hidden idols, risk-based decisions, and unexpected rule changes. The new format's advocates argue that it keeps the show fresh and prevents stagnation. However, critics argue that the show's constant twists undermine social strategy, which many consider to be its core. They assert that themed seasons and returning players naturally produce complexity without relying excessively on advantages. During a recent discussion, a fan made the observation that the theme itself used to be the twist. You didn't have to go over 10 new rules every episode. Why fans want both and not just one? Surprisingly, the majority of fans are not calling for new players or contemporary gameplay to be abandoned completely. They are instead advocating for equilibrium. Themes could be reintroduced while maintaining the current pacing and production style, as suggested by many, or there could be a mix of new and returning cast members. Some popular fan-suggested ideas include a season called Second Chance with players who came so close to winning, a Legends Against a New Era theme that pits veteran players against contemporary ones, a relaunch of Blood vs. Water with more recent casting, a strategic focus on social players versus strategic players versus physical players. According to supporters, these ideas would re-energize the show without compromising its modern identity. The emotional core of Survivor. Survivor has always been about more than just challenges and votes when it was at its best. It discusses trust, betrayal, resilience, and adaptation in human behavior under stress. These elements are frequently amplified by themed seasons that place players in predetermined roles, and returning players bring real-life experience to every decision. Long-awaited rematches, redemption arcs, and shocking betrayals are frequently cited as reasons why viewers fell in love with the show. When every season begins with a blank slate and no shared past, it is more difficult to recreate these moments. One fan commented, "The strategy is impressive now, but I miss the feelings." Realities of production and creative options. Seasons with themes and returning characters present challenges for production. When casting former players, scheduling must be coordinated, expectations must be managed, and competitive balance must be maintained. To avoid stereotypes and predetermined outcomes, themes need to be carefully designed. Nevertheless, fans believe it's worth overcoming these obstacles. Many point out that some of the Survivor seasons that received the most praise from critics and were remembered for their strong themes, returning players, or both. They argue that the success of those seasons demonstrates that that strategy is still popular. A business that reinvents itself. Survivor's ability to reinvent itself has always been one of its greatest assets. The show has adapted to fit cultural shifts, production constraints, and audience expectations over 40 seasons. Recurring cast members and themed seasons are not necessarily resisting change. Rather, they are requesting a return to the storytelling techniques that once gave the show its epic feel. These fan discussions may influence the franchise's future as it continues to look ahead. The passionate response demonstrates one thing, regardless of whether producers decide to revisit previous formats. Survivor continues to pique the audience's deep investment, debate, and love. The unanswered question. Survivor's future priorities, innovation or tradition, simplicity or spectacle, new faces or familiar ones, are at the heart of the debate. For many fans, the ideal response is somewhere in between. "We don't want to go backwards," was the succinct statement made by one viewer. "All we want is the magic back." And the demand for themed seasons and returning castaways is also growing louder with each tribal council if the volume of fan voices is any indicator.